Hey there, Tobias here from the Future Academy. And today I want to talk about one of these very, very important things that we all need to learn how to overcome and master. If we want to build successful businesses in today's day and age, if we want to create content, if we want to be authorities, leaders in our space, building our personal brands, being our business brands, just being an entrepreneur in today's world, pretty much you're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to have to create some content. You have to, speak in conferences maybe, or you're going to have to speak on podcasts or doing videos like this one. Like for most people, it's going to be crucial in this world. And I want to give you my number one, go-to strategy, I guess, principle is a more appropriate word for overcoming imposter syndrome, perfectionism, just like overanalyzing, feeling frightened, stepping in front of the camera, all those negative emotions that you might have, which are robbing you of your dream right now. They're holding you back. And it's just that one thing that if you knew how to do this, it would be so much easier. Now, I know that because I was there myself. Obviously, we all have to go through that. I want to share something that if you just took this one principle and applied it, I think you will find that it will change how you go about presentations, how you go about content creation and all this stuff, and it will be easy and fun. And so I know that's a bold promise, but I want to, hold myself accountable to it. And so let's dive into what I mean. Now, when we think about, performing, whether, in any setting really when we have eyes on us, what we tend to do is we become self-aware. And when we become self-aware, suddenly we don't perform in that fluid, natural way. Suddenly we get thinking about how do we look, how's my hair, how do I sound? The worst thing is when you start listening to your own voice, thinking like I'm speaking here at the same time, I might, sound ridiculous and all these different negative limiting beliefs that we might have about ourselves, especially when we put ourselves in a stressful situation. And that's really the clue. When we are in a stressful situation, like we really go back to like comparing it with being chased by a lion. Now, this kind of goes back to how we were designed as human beings. We're basically living in two different modes. One mode is the survival mode. And that's where, people tend to try to feed the ego. We think about how we look, all these kind of self-centered emotions, they come to the surface when we are in survival mode, we're in fight or flight mode. And that, not to go into that too much, but it's really how our brains react when we are under threat. And most people feel that when they go and do a presentation on Zoom or get in front of people in a conference or just record a video like this one, they feel like they're under threat. And what happens with the brain is we tend to go into a survival mode way of dealing with the situation. And, all kinds of brain chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol. And let's not go into that too much. But what happens is basically we can freeze in front of the camera, in front of the people, and we get so self-conscious that we're not performing at our best. And usually the performance is very mechanic. It's not natural. It doesn't feel very authentic. And so, therefore, what do we do? That's really what I'm going to get at. What do we do in a situation like that? When you feel you've been over-analyzing yourself, you have all that perfection, you don't think it's good enough, you don't really like yourself on camera, your voice and so forth. The first thing I want to say, there's a time and place, I might say instead. There's a time and place to rehearse, and there's a time to perform. And when we get into performance mode, it's different from the rehearsal mode. So it's all cool, it's all good, when you don't feel comfortable in front of the camera. I remember when I did this the first time, and I'm looking at a camera right now, and it feels ridiculous to pretend that I'm speaking to someone. Well, in fact, that's what I'm doing right now. But it just feels awkward. So you do that, and you have to do that all, over and over, and you have to watch yourself. And if you feel like there's something you're doing which is not, making you perform as good as you can, then of course you should, it's part of the process that you should try to remove that thing or the thing you said or your tonality, speaking too fast or too slow, all those things. I certainly can improve in many areas, myself. So I'm not here to say like you should speak like me, or like I know exactly how to do it, or I don't, think I'm particularly great at it, but I have overcome my fears. I think I can show up in front of a camera and speak without a script, which I do all the time. I have an idea and I go. And like, honestly, I don't even know where this, whole content is going. I do know kind of where it's going, but I mean, it's not really how I express myself, just comes out of me. And I want to explain exactly what is going on. So we established that most people get into kind of a feeling that there's some kind of a threat. We get into kind of survival mode. And when we're in survival mode, that's where we become self-aware, insecure. We want to try to control things. We get into all these different emotions that are not going to serve us. And by the way, these are all, related to fear. Control, perfectionism, it's all related to fear. It's, the ego. It's a lower self. And I know I started out a few minutes ago to talk about there are two different states that we're in. I never revealed the second one, which is coming right now. The second state, the other state, the higher state that we can be in as human beings, we could call it the divine state. If you're into spirituality, you maybe heard that term before. But let's say it's that state where you feel there's complete wholeness. You're in a state of coherence between your mind and your body, and things just feel, wonderful, beautiful. You're in a state of gratitude. You talk from a place of generosity, respect, and caring, and love. And you can maybe hear how my tonality is changing even as I think about these words. And that is the key. What I'm arguing is that there's a time and place to rehearse, just like in sports. When you are trying to perfect your tennis serve, your golf swing, or whatever sports you're into, we get mechanical, we get clumsy, because we're trying to teach the brain so that we can operate with fluidity without becoming consciously aware of what we're doing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when we're performing, we don't want to be thinking about ourselves. We're not in practice mode. We want to put ourselves in a state of gratitude and service, even love, which is the highest place from which we can create. It's the nicest, most blissful place where you can live emotionally in your life. And so, with that long intro, the simple idea, which is a powerful idea that I want to give you right now, is that, if you have an idea for what type of content you want to create, maybe what you want to speak about, like I'm doing right now, when you have one idea that you're passionate about and the knowledge, if you put yourself in the highest possible state of being, which is going to be, for me, definitely, when I show up and think about whoever's going to listen to this right now, I'm here to serve them with gratitude, with humility, with love. That is going to put myself in a state where I don't care about how I come across. I mean, obviously, as you can see, I'm all about getting the frame right and the lighting and that kind of stuff. It's who I am, and it's how I also want to be perceived, my brand. So I'm not going to hide that. It's definitely there. But once I get all that out of the way and I'm stepping up here and I'm, speaking to you, I just want to speak from my heart, because I know I'm in a higher state of vibration. I'm in coherence. I don't have to think about how I look, how I sound. I'm not worried about how you're going to perceive this. I just think that I'm humbly someone showing up to speak from my heart for your benefit. Does that make sense? So what I'm saying is, yes, practice your skills, but don't mistake practice from performance. When you perform, all you need to do is to put yourself in the most powerful, loving, generous state of being, and then speak from there. And when you experience that feeling, you're not going to worry about all the other stuff. You're not going to stand behind the stage being, nervous about whether you're going to remember your speech, and what if you say something wrong, and what if, this and that happens. You just release, you just trust, you let go of the resistance, and that's why you're going to do well. And there's all the brain research to back this up, why this happens, which, first of all, I'm not even capable of explaining that in a credible enough way, but I know all about that stuff. But we're not here to talk about brain science or, all that other stuff which lies beneath it. Just take my word for it. And, better yet, try it. Get into a state of gratitude, get into a high state, and, stay there. Deliver your material with as much passion and genuine caring. I hope you can see that. I hope you can feel that in my voice, that I genuinely want to get across this message for your benefit, much more than for mine. Yes, I have a business. Yes, it'd be great to find more clients that I can serve, but that's not on my mind right now as I'm speaking to you. You are there for your audience. When you speak in front of 1,000 or more people, which I've done, a number of times, I know exactly what that can feel like, how nervous you can be, whether it's that scenario or whether it's just you alone in front of the camera, trying to be natural, getting your message across. The same principle apply. When you lose the ego, when you lose the sense of trying to show up in a certain way, looking credible, being fearful, having imposter syndrome, whatever it is, thinking about what your mother-in-law is going to think of you, or your, your friends, or whatever, the comments people are going to write. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Show up to serve, because you're going to project to you who you are genuinely at the core, and people are going to pick up on those cues, and the right people are going to show up. And if someone says something nasty, it just means it's not for them. Plus, it means they are living in a lower state of being. They are trying to define themselves through the hatred, through the jealousy, all those nasty feelings. When a person is whole from the inside, meaning you have self-respect and self-love, meaning that you can serve other people from that state, you don't have the need to put other people down. Everyone who puts people down have something broken inside of them. There's something that causes them to fall down low, to get into the survival mode, or, as some people would call it, the sympathetic nervous system takes over. And, that's the quality of the stuff that comes out of their mouth, how they project the energy. It's all coming from that place. So anyways, I just wanted to get that across. It's something I'm super excited about myself, because I wasn't really aware of this until recently. I started getting this question. I was like, what is my process? Because I know I kind of show up. And then I was thinking, actually, there's one thing I do. Just before I get on camera, I'm imagining the person, you, on the other side, even though I can't see you right now. But I'm imagining a person, where they are, where they like to be, what might stand in their way, and just trying to show up with generosity, humility, love, caring, and then I just let it go, because that means I can lose myself, I can lose my inhibitions. I'm not aware of what I'm doing right now. I don't know how this will look. And when I edit, I might have an opinion about it, but then usually I'm just going to launch it anyways. Anyway, so this was for you, for all kinds of performances that involve you speaking or acting or singing or anything else for that matter, getting over those barriers that usually stand in front of us, which is the fear, one or the other form of fear that we have about how we're going to come across, what people are going to think about us, whether we're imposters or whatever. Like, just forget about all that stuff and, find your mission, and start to project what you're about by getting into that highest state of being, and speak from there, and you'll be great. I promise you that. Just practice it a few times and it will feel very natural. So thank you so much for watching this. And again, if you like this, make sure you follow, you subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to find more information about what we do here at the Future Academy. And yeah, if you want to talk to us, you can also do that. You can just go to thefutureacademy.com/book and book a free consultation with us, because what we do, you know, in all the programs that are, you know, aimed at entrepreneurs, we always incorporate a big part of personal growth, of becoming unlimited, of removing limitations, building a stronger, bigger identity. Those things are always included in everything we do. And then we teach you the business stuff, the brand building, all the other stuff. So if that's something you're interested in, just jump on one of those calls with us, and we'll let you know how we could possibly help you. Anyways, thank you so much. And I'll be looking forward to speaking to you another time from my highest state.